From the Hawaii News Now Digital Center, we get a chance to talk to director Josh Goldman. Yay!
Aloha!
Hawaiian Heart.
Hello for having me.
Rom-com musical.
Absolutely.
Gosh, okay, even before we get into there, you actually kind of grew up here. Let's go at the beginning.
I did. I spent a lot of my childhood on Maui and Kauai, so Hawaii has a very special place in my heart.
Okay, were you here full time? Were you here part of the time, or?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I don't know how much time we have.
No,
but I had a lot of health issues as a kid, and my family moved around a lot. But one thing a doctor said to my parents when I was growing up was, severe asthma was one of the health issues. He said, if you get him out to Hawaii, it's going to be so good for his lungs developing and all that. So even though we moved all around the country and never spent too long in any place, we spent about half the year here every year. And so, not a bad childhood.
No.
I have zero complaints. But my lungs developed fully. I don't have problems with asthma anymore. So not only as a kid did I soak up the culture and become really appreciative of just all that time I got to spend here growing up, but I was also super grateful that it was beneficial to my health. So I have a lot of reasons to be thankful.
Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just touch your microphone, move that over just a little bit. So, context here. You not only lived here, but you moved around to a whole bunch of other places as well.
I grew up all over the country. Like I said, Hawaii is always what feels like home to me. But I lived in New York City for a while, and there's a little bit of our script that takes place in New York City when our main character, Lonnie, moves away. It's a very personal project for me, and it's a love letter to Hawaii.
So, growing up here, what school did you go to when you were here?
See, that's the thing. Everybody always asks what school you went, but I grew up.
Very Hawaii thing,
yeah,
right?
I grew up all over the place. I went to about 10 different high schools. You know what I mean? I don't know that it's.
Did you attend a school here in Hawaii, or were you homeschooled?
I was some homeschool, some going to schools all over the country. I took the SATs on Maui, but it's not going to be like, these people will know me from.
Right. Okay, and so after high school, what happened next?
After high school, I went out to college in Los Angeles because I was told that's, where you got to go to become a filmmaker, which isn't true, by the way. There's so much awesome filmmaking happening right here.
Really?
But I did learn how to make films there in Loyola Marymount. That's near Marina Del Rey.
Yep, know where that is.
And
beautiful view. Yeah,
and I went to college. Two of my best friends in college, Franz and Tina, Tina grew up on Kauai, Christina Au, and she, really close friend of mine, and some bits of the story she noticed I borrowed from her life as well as from my own, and they live on Kauai. They're filmmakers, and Tina's actually a lawyer, but they live on Kauai.
Okay, let's go back a little bit now, because you actually got involved, or if I understand correctly, interested in film before you went to college. What started you off interested in film?
Acting, actually. I grew up watching musicals. Big ham. I did a lot of musical theater growing up. And I got into it through acting. And then I realized, what I really love is the storytelling part of it.
So the writing part of it.
The writing and the directing is what, you kind of have to find your true passion. You find something you're interested in, you find something that you really respond to, and then it's like, oh, wait, I love this even more.
Tell me about some of the projects that you've been involved in before you got to Hawaiian Heart.
Oh, absolutely. So I've made a lot of short films, I've made a lot of commercials and music videos, and been really blessed to work with a lot of really wonderful people. I actually worked on a film writing music with Anthony Marinelli, he worked on Michael Jackson's Thriller album.
Wow.
So, talk about some incredible talent. He plays synthesizers, and he did a lot of producing and synthesizer playing, which, that's like legendary synthesizer on that album.
Yeah, for that, just the sounds that were made and sampled off of that one was incredible.
So cool. So I really have been very blessed to work with some really talented people.
Okay, so let's talk about, we get to Hawaiian Heart. You said this is kind of a love story to Hawaii, kind of.
Absolutely.
Talk about that for a bit.
I owe so much to Hawaii, both my upbringing and just, like I said, even my health. And I've always loved the culture. And what I wanted to do was write something that really resonated with people who lived here and didn't seem like we were just using Hawaii for the beautiful scenery or as a location, but really sort of was more true to local lifestyle and dealt with issues that people deal with every day. You know, it's lighthearted, it's a fun musical, but I think it is still grounded in a lot of the themes are real issues that are very prevalent here.
Okay, so musical, you having a stage and theater background, I see where that comes from. So romantic comedy, you wrote this?
I did write this, well, I'm not going to take all the credit. I tend to do that, but I wrote it. I wrote it with my good friend Andrew, who's an incredible comedy writer, really talented guy. So, you know, I think of myself as pretty funny. He's very funny, so it is a very funny movie. And then I wrote all the music, of course, with John Cruz.
Right.
But it the
Have you written music before?
Yes, I've made musical. I made a musical before, and I've written music, like I said, for other films, my own films and other people's films. But this is my first time writing a feature musical, so it's a lot of work.
Talk about how was working with John Cruz.
Working with John has been awesome. You know, I think I've possibly told this story before, but the way we met, I wanted to license Island Style for the film. And originally I wrote it as a jukebox musical with all of my favorite Hawaiian artists.
Wow.
And
nice.
so like you know, anybody you can think of, you know, Brada is John, obviously, and it was just filled with all these great Hawaiian songs. And John read the script. He said, "Oh, I really like the script. And I totally know all these people. We can definitely talk to them about using, you know, the writers of these songs. But there's an original song in here. Who wrote that?" And I sort of sheepishly said, "Well, that's one of mine. I snuck that in there." And he said, "That's a really good song." And, you know, that could have been the end of my career right there. I would have been thrilled just to be able to say, "Hey, John Cruz liked my song." Yeah, I didn't have to go any farther than that. But they said, "You know, I can tell you really want to write original music for this thing. Why don't we just write all original music together?" And that was like, honestly, the coolest thing that ever happened to me, because I'm a huge John Cruz fan. And so I said, "Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm going to go tell all my friends that I'm working with John Cruz."
Why not? I mean, I would, right? So, okay, so what do you guys do? Do you go and you sit down, you have a couple of drinks, and you lay down on a couch and just start talking things through, or how does that work?
Well, you know, I wish it could have all been that easy, but we met in 2019, right before the pandemic. And so we started working together a little bit, and then everything shut down, and I was stuck in LA. And so I started, and we had to rewrite this whole. It was kind of nice because everything shut down. We had the time to rewrite the whole thing and really think about it and be genuine, turning it into a full-fledged musical.
Okay, so you had a reset time and a time to really go through this with the fine-tuned code.
Exactly, yeah. And so I would look at the scene, take my ideas for the song, write out some lyrics and a simple melody, send that to John, and then, you know, he'd get back to me and say, "Oh yeah, that's cool, that's fun. Let me work on it." He'll send something back to me, and we'd kind of just send stuff back and forth. And then when things finally started to open back up again for travel, I got to come out to Maui and start working with him in person, and that was a blast. The collaboration. We've talked about this before too, but the collaboration not only with John, but all the musicians, with Tiana and Bronson, our stars. I really, truly believe that the most fun thing about filmmaking and anything creative is collaborating. And so, you know, I'll just say, "Hey guys, what do you think about this? You know, how does this feel? Does this feel genuine? Did you have any ideas?" And, you know, John, Bronson, Tiana, whoever was there would say, "Well, you know what would be kind of cool here?" Or, you know, I think, you know, like Bronson on Lonnie, one of the singles that's out now, we thought, maybe the song like really needs a bridge. And I said to Bronson, hey man, just improvise something in the booth. And he came up with a really lovely melody for the bridge. And then he and I worked on writing lyrics together for the bridge. And it's just that kind of collaboration with everybody having ownership of it. And really, I think you come out with something that's just really special.
We go from music. Let's go to collaboration. You've got a bunch of people that are there with you behind the scenes. Some of them have had film experience before. Some of them are on the advising side. Let's talk about the advising side first. You've got some people culturally to help you along the way, some really good names.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we are working with some incredibly knowledgeable kumu. We have Kumuhulu Lena Ala Jardin, who is, she has a halau on Kauai,
Right.
and she
Award-winning. Yep.
award-winning halau, and Mary Monarch every year, obviously, incredibly well known. And then we have Kumu Doctor Reverend Kea Naismith,
Right.
and man, I am just so in awe of both of them and so grateful for their time and their generosity and guidance with this project. And actually, Dr. Naismith has been helping us already, working on the EP with the music. They both have been helping us already, but working with the music with our Alela Hawaii, because I put in little bits, that phrases and stuff that I remember from childhood, but I want to make sure, okay, this really needs to be genuine and real and respectful. And so the cool thing is that he's actually a songwriter as well. And so not only was he able to help from a point of, okay, well, this word you put in here is a little antiquated or whatever. This might be a better word, a more natural word. He's also just, he has a really great understanding of lyrics.
Okay, so that means he was able to work with phrasing in the language.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but even just ideas from just a standpoint of, this would be a funnier line, something like that, where it's been so cool to work with him, and we're going to write a song with him. So that's something fun that was born from that too, and I'm really looking forward to.
Wow, you really got an arsenal in there.
We've got so many talented and wonderful people involved.
How did Branscombe get to working with you with this project?
So that's sort of a fun story. We had been looking for someone to play a character in the film called Uncle Carl, and that's our main character's uncle, and it brings a lot of heart to the story. And I'm trying to remember, I think it was one of our producers was working with Branscombe on a project and said, hey, have you reached out to Branscombe Richmond? I said, oh no, that would be wonderful. And then at the same time, it's so funny, everything in this project has really seemed meant to be. We just have all of these, it's not even coincidence, it just feels like fate sometimes. At the same time that person recommended him to me, I was talking to our star, Tiana, and she was asking me about the casting we were doing, and she said, hey, have you ever thought about working with Branscombe Richmond? Because I'm working with him on a film right now, Aloha Surf Hotel. I could give you his contact info. And I just thought, wow, this is like the universe is telling us. Of course, I'm a big fan of Branscombe's as well, so that was
Right.
just another wonderful opportunity. And so I said, yeah, absolutely, give me his number. And, he is such a great guy and so generous with his time and his knowledge of the film industry that he's been working in for so long. And he, he took a look at the script and liked it. And he said, and plus having Tiana in it, he said, I'll do anything for Tully, is what he calls Tiana. So
Nice. Brian Spicer. So on the producing side, Brian, of course, Hawaii Five-0, Magnum PI, television, film, but he's also set up shop over the years here in Hawaii. So that's convenient for you to have that expertise and that tech base, I guess,
yeah.
right here. And I guess that goes back to what you were saying. You don't have to move away, right?
Right. Well, and that's, one of the things that's really important to me, because I, just working in the film industry and working with Sight and Sound for so long on this project, that we see is that a lot of films, big budget films, come to shoot in Hawaii, and they they fly in all of their crew, or they fly in most of their cast. And that's like, it's just such a shame because there's so much talent here, and we really would love to see more people working with local cast and local crew. And one of the awesome things about Sight and Sound is that they're really passionate about that as well. You know, Brian has an acting class where they're teaching acting locally, and they've really just fostered all of this great talent in the local community. All of these amazing filmmakers that they're supporting. And so I think that's really awesome. And they're a world-class production studio. I mean, I've worked all over the place, and they're the best production company I've ever worked with.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I don't say that lightly either.
So even, I know that when you were just mentioning about talent, it seemed you were talking about on-camera talent, and then that last part is about crew, and I guess that with Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum PI and all the huge big budget films that come through here, blockbuster movies, we have that talent base here. Is that safe to say that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of really incredibly skilled professionals that are too busy. There's too many projects filming here, but there's also, you wanna take young people who are interested in it and make sure that there's, the facilities for them to get the training, and get those skills. And that's something that Brian and his team at Sight and Sound are really passionate about. And it's something that I'm hoping with our film we can say to people, hey, come watch us film, come work with us, come watch us film, learn these skills.
Okay, so you're a local filmmaker, and are you encouraged? You're seeing other local filmmakers doing things, projects, stuff.
Oh, so many cool projects, and so many that, like I said, Sight and Sound's a big supporter of, but that I just love seeing these local projects, love seeing these local filmmakers doing amazing work, and want to support that and get even more of that going.
And tell more stories.
And tell more stories, yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so what happens with you moving forward from this date forward for Hawaiian Heart? What's next?
Well, we have an EP coming out on March 24th of 5 songs from the movie. There's 15 original songs in the movie. This is 5 that we really wanted to share with people and get out there and get people excited about the music. And then we are going to start filming later this year, so we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We've got rehearsals, and we still have some songs to finish up.
If there are people in front of the camera that are seeing this and are thinking of getting into the business, what would you recommend they do?
Well, I think in front of or behind the camera, obviously there are resources out there. I mean, online is such an incredible resource, but there are places like Sight and Sound Productions that are teaching these skills, have running courses. It's great to sign up for a course in person. That's always a great way to learn a craft. But as far as like following a dream, because I'm a dreamer for sure myself. The one piece of advice that I always give is that it's honestly just comes to sticking with it and to not giving up and to pursuing it actively, but not. These things take time. This project, Hawaiian Heart, has been in the works for 4 years now.
Wow.
And a lot of people will look at that and say, oh, geez, that can't be doing very well. But it's been doing amazing the whole time. It keeps building and building and growing and growing. But that's anything you see, anything that's worth doing takes time, takes perseverance. And that, comes down to a specific project or a career or anything like that. It's going to be a long road. And so just if you really love it, if you're really passionate about it, stick with it.
Okay, Josh Goldman is the director. Hawaiian Heart is the first rom-com musical. That is, there are not that many that you can say is a rom-com musical and then have it come out of Hawaii and be a Hawaii story.
I can't think of a local story that's a musical, a feature-length musical. So I'm hoping that we come out with something really special.
Go get them.
Hey, mahalo.
If anybody wants more information, you've actually already got a website up.
We do. HawaiianHeartMovie.com or Hawaiian Heart Movie on Instagram is a great place, kind of our hub for getting info out there.
All right. Josh Goldman on Billy V Live.